All right, so for this case, this gentleman had a partial denture that just kept failing on him. He had ERA attachments that were attached to these crowns, and as you might be able to see, there's really not much space, not much vertical height over them. So as you can imagine, with very limited vertical height, the acrylic just kept breaking over and over, and no repair is really gonna fix that. That's just a total redesign is what we have to do. So what I did was I cut off these crowns, I cut off the ERA attachments from the crowns. I cut it off and I smoothed it off. And now what I'm gonna do for him is design an implant-assisted partial denture. So what you see me doing right here is just obviously just reflecting a flap. I did some alveoplasty, so we reduced the bone about 3-4 millimeters because I want to make sure that there's going to be enough space. When with prosthodontics, the fatal flaw is not having enough space. That's the trick that's going to get you in trouble. Like if you don't have enough space for your stuff, because that's when patients can't get a restoration that lasts. So now you see me, I'm preparing the site for implant placement. I'm going to place my implant in now using Implant Club implants right here. Basically, I'm actually always using Implant Club implants. I just love the workflow. It really makes everything really simple and straightforward. Now we're jumping to the other side. We are making our flap. But first, before we do that, we're going to cut off this ERA attachment. You didn't see it on the other side, but here you do see it. The ERA attachment is just like this circular metal attachment that you can snap on partial dentures to. They've kind of fallen out of popularity recently, but for this case, it helps with certain cases and with partial dentures. But in this case, it just really wasn't working out. So I'm smoothing it off now, and now it's time to make my flap so I can do the implant placement. So just pretty straightforward flap here, making my releasing incisions. And I'm pretty optimistic about this case. For implant-assisted partial dentures, implants do fail sometimes, right? They fail to integrate sometimes. So you have to make sure that you plan for that. If the partial denture is purely relying only on the implant for retention, then you're going to be in trouble. You should probably engineer it so that it's also able to get some retention from other aspects of the partial. Here I'm just using a 12 blade now just to help me release some of those little flap fibers, some of the periosteal fibers that were kind of sticking. All right, so now we're going to finish up and we're going to reflect our flap. And I'm going to do the same thing on this side. I'm going to do an alveoplasty. And again, we're taking it down 3 to 4 millimeters just to make sure that there is I want to make 100% sure. I want to be so certain that there's going to be enough space and that this partial denture will not break. Some patients will just chew through anything. And, if this patient already has a history of breaking acrylic, I don't want to take any chances. So we've already gone ahead and done the alveoplasty. Now we're going to go ahead and prep for the implant site, just like we did on the other side. We're just taking it through the pilot drill, and I'm confirming with my parallel pin everything from the Implant Club surgical kit. And here I'm using my Lindemann pilot drill because I want to move my osteotomy just a little bit. So I use my Lance pilot drill to start it. And Lindemann, I use the black one, this side cutting one, if I ever want to move the site a little bit, if I ever want to move the spot where I made my initial drill. So now when I'm happy with it, I'll go ahead and move on to the rest of the sequential drilling. And it looks like I edited that part out, and I'm ready for the implant now. So implant's going in. Implant's going in, nothing too crazy about it. I really like the Implant Club workflow because I like to insert manually like this. I just insert it by hand. I just torque it in because it helps me get a feel for how well it's engaging. I have a lot of control over the position and the pressures that I'm putting on it. Now the implant's in, super easy. I'm gonna go ahead and suture this up. But before I do, I noticed that I sank it a little bit and the bone was a little uneven in that area, so I want to make sure to level out the bone so that there's no binding of my healing abutment. If there's any binding, then it can be difficult to restore. So now I'm suturing everything up before trying the partial on again. So again, when you put the partial on, you want to make sure that there's no pressure from the partial onto the healing abutments at all, like at all. There can't be any pressure at all, because otherwise your implants are going to be getting this force on them that's not allowing them to osseointegrate in peace. Right? You don't want any kind of movement of the implant or pressures being on the implant when you're during the osseointegration phase. All right, sutured up this side. Going to hop over to the other side now, taking that transfer off and putting a healing abutment on. I like to double check with some PVS to make sure it's not binding. And if there's any doubt, I'll just remove those healing abutments and put cover screws. But that's about it, just making sure that it seats the way it is supposed to, and that is it. That's it for that video, but if you're serious about leveling up your implant game, I invite you to go to implantninja.com, where we teach you how to place implants the right way using step-by-step videos, books, and full office solutions that really help you implement very efficient implant protocols. So if the content was helpful for you, go ahead and like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.